Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Alfred.
Wonderful.
This is one of the big stories that many have been looking out for. We know that in the last couple of weeks, conversations have centered around issues relating to Operation Recover or Loot. People want to see the case progressing in a fast manner. Now, this one has to do with the Skytrain saga.
Fantastic. What are we finding out? What's the latest to this?
The latest is that the Attorney General has filed an application asking the High Courts to hear an application that has been filed on July 3 instead of July 9. Now, let me walk you through a bit of context to put it in much perspective for you. The first is that we know that the former Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund CEO, Solomon Asamoah, is standing trial for his alleged role in the $2 million loss to the state in the Skytrain project. We know that he's standing trial alongside a former board chairman of GIF, Professor Ameya Ekumfi. So the two are standing trial in relation to this. The application by lawyers for Mr. Asamoah makes the point that the trial is premature. They go on to say that the Supreme Court should be allowed to interpret portions of the Public Property Protection Act. And the fact of the matter is that one of the charges against him has to do with portions section 7 of the Public Protection Act. It makes the point that if you dissipate public property, it creates an offense and you can be charged for that offense. And his lawyers are saying that, well, to the extent that he has been charged under that particular law, they find section 1 and 7 of that law to be inconsistent with portions of the Constitution, specifically Article 19, which is a provision that deals with issues surrounding fair trial. And so they asked the High Court that, look, put proceedings on hold because the Constitution says that if you want a matter to be interpreted, send it over to the Supreme Court for interpretation. Now, they also say that the trial should remain suspended until the Supreme Court interpretation comes in relation to the Public Protection Act 1977, SMCD 140. Now, the Office of the Attorney General has been replying. That's the latest updates that we are bringing. Documents filed in court by Dr. Justice Remsai, the Deputy Attorney General. He makes the point that first, the case should be heard on July 3 instead of July 9. And he explains that when a person makes an application to a court and files documents, that individual must be ready to argue the application. And so as far as he's concerned, you file the process has been filled for hearing on the 9th, but he says that he should be ready to argue. So come on July 3 for us to make the argument. He goes on to say that the application that has been filed is geared at delaying the trial. And he says speedy trial is commanded by the Constitution and should be enforced by the court. And so this is the latest update coming from the Office of the Attorney General, Dr. Justice Remsai, urging the court that let's have the hearing earlier. And so they've asked the court to have the hearing on July 3 instead of the July 9 that has been fixed by the registry of the court, because they believe that the entire application is geared at delaying the court and they simply want the matter to be dealt with expeditiously, Alfred.
I see, and the suspicion of delay tactics on the part of these persons who are being accused in this particular case. But how about that concern that as to whether hearing this case on July 3 would lead to a miscarriage of justice, essentially? Does this respond to that?
As far as the AG is concerned, I mean, the point that Dr. Justice Remsai makes in the documents that is filed is to the effect that when you make a request to a court, it obviously means that you are ready to back it up. You are ready to convince the court as to why the court should grant your request. And so once you've put those documents before the court and the court has on its own fixed hearing for July 9, if you're a person that you are of interest and you want to raise your matter immediately, then when you come earlier, it doesn't make any difference. That's the argument that he's making. We know that the lawyers for the accused persons have said right from the onset and even in the court process that, well, look, our clients are innocent of the allegations against them. We also know that we've seen happen in even other trials that are currently underway as part of the Operation Recover or Loot that the accused persons at various times make various requests onto the state. We can make reference to the case involving the former director of the National Signals Bureau, where the lawyers have made an application asking for a tall list of documents, including transactions of the national security accounts dating back to even the Kufuor and the Rawlings era, among all of that. All those are requests that the lawyers will be making in the course of this. And what the state is also trying to do is also to ensure that the court balances the interest of the accused person with that of the interest of the state and also the interest of everyone to ensure that this is a matter that is dealt with expeditiously. And so this one that will be argued out on July 3, the court would have to first answer the question of whether it should even have the hearing on July 3 or you should wait and have the hearing on July 9.
And that will determine the next steps of this case that we're following quite closely, is it not?
Yeah, that will be determine the next step. And the case is still at the very initial stages. I mean, the prosecution is just yet to even open and go through its entire case. And so we are at very early stages yet. And those who are looking out for conclusion on these matters, it comes back to the point that the legal practitioners will make all the time that the rules of justice does grind quite slowly sometimes.
And we'll see how things play out. I know you're following this quite closely every step of the way. Joseph Akablay is our senior legal affairs correspondent here. Appreciate you for this. And this is Ghana Tonight. And this is one that we got some exclusive detail from the Office of the Attorney General on this particular Skytrain scandal.